What's up, everybody? And it's finally happened. The news that most Manchester United fans, or I would say half the fan base, were waiting for. Erik ten Hag has been sacked as Manchester United manager, and Ruud van Nistelrooy will be taking charge of first team operations on an interim basis. Let's have a look at the club statement, and then I'll give you a review of Erik ten Hag's role at Manchester United. So here it is, club statement. Erik ten Hag has left his role as Manchester United men's first team manager. Erik was appointed in April 2022 and led the club to two domestic trophies, winning the Carabao Cup in 2023 and the FA Cup in 2024. Something which he doesn't he always reminds us of these two victories in press conferences, saying he's won two trophies or whatever. Um, that is good because it was Man United's first trophies in 6 years since Jose Mourinho won the Europa League. But still wasn't good enough. We are grateful to Erik for everything he has done during his time with us, and wish him well for the future. Ruud van Nistelrooy will take charge of the team as interim head coach, supported by the current coaching team, whilst a permanent head coach is recruited. So, what are my thoughts on this news? Well, you know, I can't say it wasn't coming. It was fully coming. I did expect him to be sacked this season, simply with how badly we got off to a start in the Premier League and the Europa League. This start to the season has been absolutely atrocious. We have 4 wins in 13 games. It's just absolutely relegation form. And we're currently 7 points away from top four, and we're 7 points away from the relegation zone. It's absolutely abysmal form. The worst start to a Premier League season ever, and he beat his own record basically. Manchester United last season got off to a terrible start as well, and this season he's got to an even worse start. So the warning signs have definitely been there for the 2.5 years he has been at the club. I think the warning signs were there in the first season. And I do feel like kind of going over his first season at the club. So I think we should do that as well. I think we should go over his first season at the club. So his first season at the club, he finished third in the Premier League. Not too bad. After finishing sixth with Ragnick the season before. And then Ollie obviously got sacked that season. Runners-up in the FA Cup. But we did win the EFL Cup. And in the Europa League, we got to the quarterfinals. So yeah, in terms of that first season, a lot of people were going to say, you know what, decent season. But to be honest, I kind of fell out of touch with Manchester United after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got sacked. So I wasn't kind of really, I wasn't really kind of following them as vividly as I am following them now. I definitely followed them more under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Especially when we signed Ronaldo, Sancho, and Varane, I fully thought we were gonna go on to, win the league or at least challenge for it that season. But unfortunately, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did get sacked. So let's have a look at the league table, right? And in my opinion, the league table, I'm having a look at the league table. It's we only scored 58 goals that season. So I think maybe I should pull up the league table from his first season in charge. So I'll do that right now, and I'll pull it up on the screen just so we have a reference point. And then obviously I'll go over the current league standings as well. So he took over in the 2022-23 season. Man United finished third. So let's have a look at the Premier League table right now from his first season in charge. So here we are. We're in third position here, finishing third. But the most worrying thing for me, in my opinion, was the... it says we got 4 wins here, but where's the Wolves win? Okay, I think that might have messed up a little bit. Chelsea, to Bournemouth there, we played them twice. Okay, sorry, yeah. Okay, so we have a look at his first season in charge where we finished third. So here are the stats for the his first season here. 48th consecutive first season under the management of Erik ten Hag. So we're finishing third, FA Cup runners up, winners of the League Cup and Europa League quarterfinals. Not necessarily all that bad. I think decent season. Not a sackable offence. But I do think the warning signs were there from the first season. If you have a look at our goal difference, first of all, and then you have a look at the goals scored and goals against. I mean, these are proper warning signs for me. I think definitely we got bailed out here in this season by Rashford's goals and Varane at the back in defence as well. I think that a lot of it was papering over the cracks in Erik ten Hag's tactical deficiency. Scoring 58 goals, conceding 43 and having a goal difference of 15. I mean, that is not great in my opinion. If you have a look at the goals for 58, Newcastle have scored more than us. Liverpool have scored more than us. Brighton scored more goals than us that season. Tottenham scored more goals than us. Yeah. We scored the same amount of goals as Brentford, who finished 9th. Right? And so the warning signs were there, in my opinion. Genuinely, in terms of goals scored, we're conceding a lot as well. 43 goals conceded there. Which is kind of okay, I suppose, because Arsenal have same amount of goals there. But we're not scoring enough. We're nowhere near scoring enough goals, in my opinion. And I do think that finishing third did paper off the cracks a little bit in terms of Erik ten Hag's, tactical deficiency. The warning signs were there, especially, and then, like I mentioned, we're not scoring nowhere near enough goals. And let's have a look at the stats for that season as well in the Premier League squad stats. So you have a look at the goals here. Bruno Fernandes finished, 37 appearances. That's 37 starts, I think. Only 8 goals. But Marcus Rashford are bailing him out with 17 goals that season. That is just, he's proper bailing him out there, Erik ten Hag, Marcus Rashford. And so I think that papered over the cracks a little bit. Then how many appearances did Varane have that season? 22 appearances Varane had. So I do think that Lisandro Martinez with 24 appearances as well. So I think that Varane and Lisandro Martinez partnership at the back kind of bailed him out that season, because the warning signs were most definitely there with regards to the amount of goals we were scoring. But Rashford did have a very good season with 46 total appearances, scoring a total of 30 goals in all comps. So Marcus Rashford did have a very good first season under Erik ten Hag. But like I said, the warning signs were there and we were found out in the season afterwards. But before I talk about that, let's have a look at the other campaigns. You have a look at the FA Cup. We did go all the way to the final, but we were beaten by Man City, unfortunately. But if you have a look at the teams that we're coming up against, they're not exactly world-beating teams, are they now? Everton, Reading, West Ham, Fulham, Brighton, they're not necessarily the greatest teams there. And we did get beaten by Man City in the final there. So that's the FA Cup. The final is a cup competition. Anything can happen, really. So unfortunately, we did lose that. EFL Cup. Again, have a look at the opposition that we're playing against. We're not playing against world beaters here, so we got an incredibly lucky run to the final of the League Cup, and we did manage to win that. Fortunately for us, 2-0, courtesy of Casemiro and Rashford goals. But yeah, I do think that the warning signs were there in the first season under Erik ten Hag. And that season, it also announced the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo went to war with Erik ten Hag as well. If, Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't going to be used by Erik ten Hag, then I don't know why he decided to keep him. He should have just got rid of him. Because when you have a goal scorer like Ronaldo and he's sitting on the bench, and you're struggling to score goals, you only scored 58 goals in league that season, you should be using Cristiano Ronaldo more. And let's have a look at the stats for Ronaldo. Only 4 appearances, only 1 goal, only 4 appearances there. And he did leave in November 2022. And a lot of people stuck by Erik ten Hag when Ronaldo was going to war with him. But personally, I would have stuck with Ronaldo, simply because of the pedigree that Ronaldo has. Erik ten Hag only has a few Eredivisie titles, and that's it. He's not won any Champions Leagues. He's not won like a plethora of trophies. Yes, he did do well at Ajax, but Cristiano Ronaldo is a proven world-class goal scorer, sitting and rotting on your bench at the age of 37. He needs to be playing. I know he's a little bit old, but he keeps himself fit and in good condition. He needs to be playing games, especially if you're struggling to score goals. So yeah, I think this season under Erik ten Hag did definitely paper over the cracks, and the warning signs were most definitely there. So this is our league table from that season as well. 75 points. Only finishing 4 points behind Newcastle. Definitely papering over the cracks this season with the amount of goals that we actually scored. 15 goal difference there. Over the past two seasons, Man United don't have a great goal difference under Erik ten Hag either. So yeah, in terms of compared to the other sides as well. So maybe that's what we should do. We should kind of calculate the overall goal difference in the Premier League for this season and last season. I think next season, the season afterwards, we did finish with a -1 goal difference. So yeah, that's not too good. Let's have a look at that one now. Let's move on to the second season under Erik ten Hag. Let's keep the league tables open. So last season, of course, we finished 8th, and this is a season whereby I fully thought that Manchester United should have got rid of Erik ten Hag in the summer. And, you know, it's on Ineos. I don't understand why they backed him in the summer just to sack him now. I'm actually incredibly surprised that they did sack him after this defeat to West Ham. But we'll get onto that game in a minute as well. Let's just talk about his second season in charge. So what I want to do is I want to pull up the league table from last season. So here's the league table from last season. Man United all the way down in 8th. Obviously qualifying for the Europa League because we won the FA Cup final against Manchester City. But yeah, the warning signs are there, especially with the league form. 57 goals scored, -1 goal difference is absolutely completely unforgivable. Finishing 8th, our lowest ever Premier League finish. It's worse than David Moyes. One could argue that that Erik ten Hag was worse than David Moyes, and I can see an argument for it as well. You know, if Erik ten Hag doesn't win the FA Cup, you know, that one-off game against Man City, I think most probably they sack him. I don't understand why they didn't sack him either, because Louis van Gaal was sacked right after finishing 5th on goal difference behind Manchester City and winning the FA Cup final. Like, they sacked Louis van Gaal. They should have sacked Erik ten Hag as well. And yeah, I'm kind of getting sick of these Dutch managers, you know that. But yeah, anyway, let's have a look at the Premier League. So have a look at the league table here. We're finishing 8th, and the writing is on the wall there, really. Let's have a look at the matches as well. Absolutely abysmal, red and greens all the way in this form here. Not great, absolutely whatsoever. Not great whatsoever. We're not scoring enough goals either. Nowhere near enough goals in the league. And you can see how we're not really moving positions in terms of the league. We're 6th here, 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 7th, 6th, and we're just mid-table really, mid-table mediocrity. We had a very poor season this season, finishing 8th. We were 6th, and then we lost to Palace, lost to Arsenal, beat Newcastle, and beat Brighton. But of course, the goal difference does come back to bite us, because we've got a -1 goal difference compared to Newcastle's 23 there, and the writing is clearly on the wall this season, and he should have gone. This is a time when Erik ten Hag should have been sacked. He should never have been allowed to start the season. And I just wanted to say also this other stat as well. No Manchester United manager has gone on to manage for a 3rd season after failing to qualify for the Champions League the previous season. So most managers after post Sir Alex Ferguson are given at least 2 full seasons, and if they fail to qualify for the Champions League the previous season, they are sacked mid-season. And it's only happened with Louis van Gaal. Louis van Gaal was sacked. We sacked Louis van Gaal at the end of the season because he failed to qualify for the Champions League. Jose Mourinho came in, and Jose Mourinho was sacked mid-season for the abysmal run of form that we had in the Premier League. And then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked for a very bad run of form as well. I don't believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deserved to be sacked, though, in my opinion. I think he'd done enough the previous 2 seasons to warrant him at least to finish a 3rd full season, in my opinion. He should have been, but I'll feel like talking about that in another video. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked as well mid-season. But yeah, Erik ten Hag failing to qualify for the Champions League this season. I think we should have got rid of him. We're finishing on 60 points, a total of 8 points behind top 4 as well, with a -1 goal difference. It's just not on, really. It's just nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough, in my opinion. And he should have gone. at the end of the 23-24 season. So yeah, league form nowhere near good enough, and that's your bread and butter really. You need to be doing well in the league. But let's have a look at the FA Cup. This one a little bit of a difficult run, but you have a look at Coventry there. We were winning 3-0. They scored three before that. Sorry, Liverpool. This was a very good game. Amad Diallo scoring that winner in the 121st minute of injury time after extra time as well. A very good win over Liverpool. So that's the only decent side that we did beat on our way to the final. Coventry, we made hard work of them as well. After we're winning 3-0, and then we give up 3 goals in the second half. That was completely unforgivable as well. We went on to win 4-2 that game on penalties. And then finally, we did beat Manchester City in the final 2-1, which was a decent performance by Manchester United. But yeah, have a look at the EFL Cup. EFL Cup, we failed to defend the EFL Cup last season, beating Crystal Palace, but we lost to Newcastle at home. Again, we should be beating sides at home if we are to. We kind of, if trophies mean so much to Erik ten Hag, then you got to be doing better in the EFL Cup and also in the Champions League as well. This was an absolute horror show. The Champions League group stage last season, only 1 win in a possible 6 games, finishing with 4 points. We didn't even transfer to Europa League because we failed to fail to finish third. This is absolutely abysmal as well. So yeah. I think the FA Cup last season did kind of save him. I think that if Erik ten Hag failed to win the FA Cup, I think he would have been sacked. And personally, even if he won the FA Cup, I would have still sacked him because finishing 8th in the league is absolutely criminal. It's unforgivable. Last season, obviously, of course, you have a look at the season. We're not scoring enough goals again. Let's just go to the top here. We're not scoring enough goals. Have a look at the goals here. Bruno Fernandes and Rasmus Højlund on 10 Premier League goals each. Nowhere near high enough to be kind of finishing higher in the league, to be honest. And then finally, have a look at this season. I mean, this season's been absolutely been awful form. There's no kind of getting away from it. This season's form, we're all the way down in 14th, man. We're all the way down in 14th. And we are how many points away from the relegation zone? We are a total, 7 points away from the relegation zone. Ipswich, who are in 18th, 7 points away from the relegation zone. And we are 7 points away from top 4 as well. So we're 18 points there, 7 points away from top 4. So that's a swing of 3 games. So we got to basically win 3 games and everybody above us has to drop points. It's just absolutely insane already. We're a quarter of the season in already. And this is where we are in the league. We're 14th in the league. And have a look at the Europa. We are 21st in Europa. It's just absolutely unforgivable. You can't there's no kind of sugarcoating how bad the results have been. And you know what? You could say, results are bad. Maybe perhaps performances have been better for Manchester United. But even performances haven't been great either. I can only remember 2 good games so far this season. And I think that was the first half against Crystal Palace. I think we played well. And the first half against West Ham yesterday, I think we played well as well. Possibly against West Ham, if we get a draw, possibly Erik ten Hag doesn't get sacked. I'm not sure. Personally, with the sacking of Erik ten Hag at this point, I was very, very, very surprised because I thought that since the perfect time to sack him would have been at the international break, the perfect time to sack him would have been really at the international break. We have a look. It would have been after this draw to Villa, right? This would have been the perfect time to sack him because then you've got 2 weeks to go out and get a manager. Tuchel was available, even though I believe he signed his contract with England on the 8th of October, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what? You could have sounded him out. Possibly Tuchel would have delayed signing that contract. The manager market is really difficult out there. I've got no idea who Man United are going to go and get. All the good managers are basically employed right now. So yeah, I don't know who Man United are going to go out and get at this point in time. But this was the perfect time to sack him if they were to make the change. If they weren't going to make the change in the summer. Obviously, Ineos, in my opinion, they look really bad in terms of their kind of stance with regards to managers. First they back him in the summer. They give him 5 new players. Then they start the season off. Then they back him again. They back him in the international break. They don't sack him then. And now they suddenly sack him. Genuinely, it just seems kind of like a knee-jerk reaction from Ineos. And when you do knee-jerk reactions like that, usually it doesn't kind of work out the best of cases. Especially how I believe that the Man United players were still playing for the manager as well. That West Ham game yesterday, we'll speak a little bit about that. We could have easily won that game like 6-0. I know maybe 6 is a little bit of an exaggeration, but at least 4-0. It should have been 4-0 in the first half. In the first 15 minutes, Manchester United had 4 big chances to actually score. And it could have been 4-0 in the first 15 minutes, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. And West Ham do come back and win that game 2-1 due to a controversial penalty as well. So it's a very kind of odd game to sack Erik ten Hag, in my opinion. Personally, I've mentioned previously, I would have sacked him in the summer. But if you're going to give him 5 new players, you're going to give him the start of the season, you're going to give him a third season, right? You're going to let him start the third season. Then I would wait up until this Leicester game, the November international break. Then I would see where we are after the Chelsea game and after the Leicester game. And then I would make a decision. This decision, right now, it seems incredibly knee-jerk, And plus, I don't think they've sounded anyone out. The Ineos and the Glazers and the hierarchy at Manchester United. I've got no idea who they could hire. Generally, I've got no idea who the next manager could be. Like I said, there's not many good managers out there on the manager market right now. So yeah, in terms of the league table, look at that. 14th is absolutely abysmal. Our next game is against Chelsea. And if we lose that game, and I think if Leicester and Everton win, we could be in 16th position. We could be 16th. That is insane. That is absolutely wild. We could be 16th, with 10 games played. Yeah. And then you have a look at the Europa League. Again, we're not getting off to the best of starts. We're winning against Twente. We're winning against Porto. We're winning against Fenerbahce. And we drop points. These aren't great teams. Twente, Porto and Fenerbahce aren't great. We should be winning all them games. Even though I don't believe we have a good enough squad to be finishing in the top 4. We're definitely better than 14th. We're definitely better than 14th. So I don't think Erik ten Hag has been getting the best out of his players ever since he's arrived. I think he's got incredibly lucky riding on 2 cup wins. And I just don't think he's been good enough for Manchester United. So I want to have a look at these other stats as well from Twitter, from BBC Sport. So win percentage in all competitions. You've got Mourinho with the highest win percentage. Then you got Ten Hag. Then Solskjaer. Solskjaer has a slightly worse win percentage than Erik ten Hag, only by 0.5. Not much in it in terms of win percentage. But you have a look at the loss percentage. Loss percentage, Moyes has the highest. Erik ten Hag has the second highest loss percentage of managers post Sir Alex Ferguson. So, he's just lost too many games. And some guys wrote, tells me why we shouldn't have sacked Mourinho. Mourinho fully deserved to be sacked. But I don't think it was all on Mourinho, because that summer, when he blew it all up in his face, he didn't get the backing he deserved in the summer transfer window after Manchester United finished second with a back 4 of Valencia, Smalling, Jones and Ashley Young as a back 4, finishing second with that. That was honestly... I can understand why Mourinho says he deserves like a medal or something for finishing second, or he says that that's his best achievement in his managerial career, was to finish second that season with that back 4, and I can see why. I can understand where he's coming from. But yeah, in terms of Erik ten Hag, the writing's been fully on the wall. Personally, we're kind of just a joke club right now still, even though we've sacked this clown. Where does that leave us? Like, who are we going to get? Like, is it going to be another 3-year rebuild? Like, what on earth's going on? Like, why are you backing Erik ten Hag in the summer, giving him so many signings and then sacking him? 9 games into a Premier League season. And, last away wins as well. Finally wanted to finish on this. Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle, West Ham, Crystal Palace, PSG, any Champions League side. Last away wins by 3+ goals, 4+ goals, or 5+ goals have all happened under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But he's a PE teacher, and that bald fraud is Pep's student, yeah. So yeah, I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer definitely doesn't get enough credit. He definitely deserves more credit. He gets nowhere near enough credit than he deserves. He deserves way more credit for kind of um, um, for getting Man United to where they were. So yeah, they're my thoughts. I've got no idea who the next interim manager, who's the next permanent manager is going to be. I've got absolutely no idea. Personally, like I mentioned before, I would have gone for Tuchel. I think the best time to sack Ten Hag would have been in the summer. And if we have a look at his spending as well, let me just pull up his spending. The stats are absolutely damning as well. Let me pull up his spending. Give us a mo here. So let's have a look at his spending here, Erik ten Hag. So he's spent a total of over 616 million at least. And to be honest, it's just a bunch of Serie A and Ajax players, to be honest. The signings have been questionable, to say the least. I think the best signing that Erik ten Hag has made has been Christian Eriksen. And he was on a free from Brentford as well. We've not seen Lenny Yoro whatsoever. You signed him for 60 million. We've not seen Mason Mount, another signing for 60 million. I think some of this is on the owners as well, with regards to transfer targets and whatever have you. I don't understand why we signed Anthony for 85.4 million when the scouts or whoever was in charge valued him for about 25-30 million, if I'm not mistaken. This Anthony signing has to be the worst transfer of all time. Without a shadow of a doubt. He's worse than Di Maria, Falcao, Bastian Schweinsteiger, Morgan Schneiderlin, Memphis Depay, God knows who else. Or only Allah knows who else. But yeah, I think Anthony has been the worst signing ever. I think Anthony has been the worst signing ever. So yeah, Casemiro's been a decent signing, I think. Rasmus Højlund is still yet to prove himself that he is a £72 million striker that can score 20 plus goals in the league. I've got no idea if he can or not. Casemiro's been decent. Mount has been missing because of injuries. 60 million waste. That doesn't make sense either. He had 1 year left on his contract at Chelsea and we decided to buy him for 60 million. We're just getting scammed out here, man. Who's making these decisions is baffling. None of it makes any sense to me. You sign Lenny Yoro in the summer, Ugarte, De Ligt, Xerxes and Mazraoui. That's 5 new players in the summer. You back him in the summer, right? And then you get rid of him now. Who is running Manchester United? How are you letting these? How are you allowing these decisions to take place? How are you allowing this? Who's running this football club? From the top down, I think it's still a mess, to be honest with you. I think it's some uncoordinated mess. Then to get rid of Erik ten Hag and then give it Ruud on an interim basis. I mean, they're both Dutch. Ruud has been working under Erik ten Hag as well. So he's part of the the coaching staff. He's part of the setup as well. So there's some responsibility has to lie on Ruud van Nistelrooy and the coaching staff as well. It's not all on Erik ten Hag. The players got to take responsibility as well. The owners have got to take responsibility as well. The Glazers, Ineos, Jim Radcliffe, all of them. Sir Jim Brailsworth, Ashworth, all of them literally have to take responsibility for this. It's not just on this bald guy, on this fraud, but the players especially as well. I've got we're just a joke right now. Honestly, we might have got rid of one clown at the club, but there's other clowns still there as well, making these financial decisions with regards to signings and players. Signing Mount for 60 million when he's got 1 year left on his deal at Chelsea. And he didn't even play for Chelsea that much that season as well, the season before we signed him. Ugarte as well. If Erik ten Hag didn't want to play Ugarte, why are we signing him for 50 million? Let Scott McTominay go and he's tearing it up in Serie A. Yes, it's a different league. But, I think he was a decent squad player, even though I did kind of, wanted him to be moved on to a certain degree. But you know, replacing with Ugarte, I don't think I'm not for that. But yeah, on hindsight, everything's easier said in hindsight. It would have been probably better keeping McTominay. But yeah, we've got clowns running this football club still, you know. So yeah, I've got no idea who Man United are gonna appoint as the next permanent manager. People are saying Xavi. I've been hearing Nagelsmann as well. Amarin was questioned in his press conference as well. But yeah, I've got no idea. I did mention previously that I would take Oli on an interim basis up until the end of the season. I don't think that's a bad shout, to be honest. You know, taking Oli, he'd definitely bring back that kind of that factor of kind of going to Old Trafford and being kind of happy to watch your team. Like it's become a chore to watch Manchester United under Erik ten Hag, and I think Oli did kind of similar to what under Mourinho. It kind of became a chore. We just didn't want to go to games. He'd fallen out with the players and all of that. I think Oli would kind of bring back that feel-good factor at Manchester United. And whether or not he would be the right man to kind of lead us to Premier League titles remains to be seen. However, after finishing third and second, it is commendable because he is the only manager post Sir Alex Ferguson to consecutively finish in the top four. And that, in my opinion, is a reason why his achievements can't be kind of his achievements can't be downgraded or looked down upon, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I've got no idea who Man United are going to go for now. Yeah, I'm lost. Kind of, what can be said. We're still a joke club being run by joke owners. The hierarchy. I think questions need to be asked, to be honest with you, because it doesn't make sense the sacking just straight after this loss after West Ham. Nobody saw it coming either. Like, I genuinely didn't see it coming. But yeah, Erik ten Hag has been sacked as Manchester United's manager. He has left his role as Manchester United men's first team manager, and this has been my reaction. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on who Manchester United should appoint next as their next permanent manager, and I'll see you in the next one.